everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be making some patchwork tops. Yesterday I tried to make a video on how to make a bucket hat and I didn't like it. This is what I made. It's a little sad. So I'm ditching that and I'm teaching you guys how to make some really rad patchwork tops because I've made them in the past, and let me go get them for you actually. I've made these two tops right here, and every time I post them on Instagram, people ask me how I made it. So today I'm finally gonna teach all of y'all who've asked me how to make these tops and teach you how to make similar ones. So this one is actually from a shirt and this one is just from some fabric. So I'm gonna teach you both ways of how I made these two tops from these thrifted pieces of clothes right here. We're gonna spice it up a little bit. Instead of just using one fabric, we're actually gonna use these three for one of them, and then the other one, I have this one shirt, this mesh shirt right here, and we are gonna recreate it so it looks kind of, similar to this one. This is the goal. So let's begin, let's get sewing, and let's hopefully make something cute today. So we're gonna start with the easier one first, and that is to start with just a shirt, an oversized shirt. It doesn't have to be super oversized, but the more oversized it is, the more you can kind of cut away when you're on your sewing machine. So I'm starting with this one. It is a few sizes too big, which is perfect. And you can see here, it actually does have a liner here, and I do not want a liner, so I am going to cut that out, seam rip it out before I get started. But you pretty much just want to start with any type of stretchy shirt. You definitely want it to be stretchy. Don't get like one that does not stretch. Get a stretchy one. If you can find a mesh one, even better. This liner's really sewn in there, so I am just gonna take my shears and we're just gonna cut it out. This is gonna be the most effective way, and some of it will be cut away, so I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna cut it super, super close to the seam. So now I have the liner cut out, and now my top looks like this. I also went ahead and I cut off the seam at the very top because it was finished like this before, where it actually had the seam there, but I went ahead, I cut that off, so now the top of my shirt looks like this. So now that we have it all ready to go, there is a huge neck hole, but that's okay if you have a huge neck hole, we are gonna fix it. But now our next step is actually sewing it. It's so easy. Now we're just gonna jump onto the sewing machine and just create some patterns, create some lines, just create the shirt. Anyways, I'm gonna bring you closer now and show you how I create a mesh patchwork top. So here is our example top here for this specific top that I'm gonna be creating. I'm just gonna go over it briefly before I jump onto my sewing machine so you kind of get, idea of what I'm doing. So what I did for this top is I took the front of the fabric, or one side of the fabric, and I just pinched it like you're making a seam on the outside and just sewed seams. I went in every which direction. Some I even started in the middle of the top. Like here you can see this is just hanging there. It's because I started here, went all the way up. Some I went all the way down to the bottom. It's really just whatever you want for this top. So I'm just gonna start sewing lines on this top until I kind of like it. So here, I'm just gonna pinch it flat like this so it looks like that, and I'm just gonna sew a straight stitch on my sewing machine, or my serger. It's a serger. So I'm gonna be using my serger for this whole thrift flip, but you don't have to have a serger for this thrift flip. You can use your sewing machine and just use a zigzag setting on the end of the fabric when you're sewing, and that should give you a similar effect to actually using a serger. But what I'm doing is what I explained before, is I'm just making some lines. I'm also adjusting my machine here so I have the right tension. But once I got the tension all right, I just went at it and just sewed a whole bunch of seams. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on how the shirt's going. So this is what the shirt looks like so far on the front. You can see the neck hole is slowly shrinking. So now I'm gonna go to the back and start doing some more lines, or some more seams. I keep calling it lines, it's seams, more seams. And Benson, your nails are very, very lazy. Okay. Benson wants to start sewing with me now, so okay, that's okay. You can stay. So I wish I had some more information to tell you guys, but really I'm just repeating the steps I already mentioned, where I'm just folding the top, making a seam, folding it somewhere else, making a seam. I'm doing it vertically, horizontally, diagonally, like every which way that is possible on this shirt. I'm just making more seams until I am happy with the shirt, and I'm just
proud of what I made. This takes a bit of time. I would say maybe 20 minutes of me just sewing seams, but realistically that's not very long for a top. So this is a very, very, very quick thrift flip, and this is why this is one of my favorite thrift flips.
So I'm pretty happy with how it looks so far. This is the front and this is the back. So now I'm gonna cut off the sleeves because I want it to be a short sleeve, just because I don't really like the 3/4 or half sleeves. So I'm just gonna go ahead and trim it where I want, I think.
So the fabric for this top does not fray, so that is why I'm just cutting the sleeves with my shears. I'm not doing any, hemming or, finishing to the sleeves. I'm just cutting it just because I know it's not gonna fray. But if you have fabric that's gonna fray, you definitely want to finish the seam there, but I'm not, because mine's not gonna fray. But after I cut them, I'm just sewing some more seams, so I just continue, the whole patchwork in, air quotes, just because I don't know if this is really technically patchwork, this top. It's more just like a second skin top, which I like to call them, but we're just gonna call it a patchwork because it kind of looks like a patchwork top with all the seams there, but really it's just a top with a lot of seams on it. That's realistically what it's called. So I don't know if there's a special name for it, but I'll just call it patchwork for now.
So I just finished the top, so this is how it turned out. I can't stop smiling because I'm so impressed with it. Every time I make these tops, I'm just so genuinely impressed because they're so easy to make and they always turn out so cute. I actually don't have a short sleeve one, so I'm really happy to finally have a t-shirt version of these patchwork tops. So, that being said, I'm happy with how this one turned out. It was definitely very, very easy, and this is the way I recommend doing it, but I'm also gonna show you the second way of doing it if you wanna take multiple patches from like different items, like different shirts. I'm gonna show you how to do that right now.
So wow. So now for method 2. So for this method, I have an actual pattern here, so I'm working, say, from just fabric or scrap fabric to make this top. So what I did was I printed out my pattern. I have some links down below so you can get your pattern, but it can be any pattern of a top. This is just a basic top that I'm using. So once I had my pattern, I laid it down, and then I started cutting out some fabric so I can make, a draft of what I want the top to kind of look like, and just cut out different patches and made like a puzzle so it's bigger than the actual pattern below. So the next step was sewing all the pieces together. I don't really know how to verbally explain this, so you can just watch what I'm doing, where I'm sewing the pieces on the left and the right side before I sew the top, the middle, and the bottom piece. Does that make sense? It's just like trying to put a puzzle together. I'm just trying to sew all the pieces together so I have one sheet of fabric. So however you get to this point, it doesn't really matter as long as all the pieces are together, but I just go side to side, and then once I have long strips of fabric, I go the first one to the middle one to the bottom one. So next step is cutting out the pieces now. So once you have the fabric that's slightly bigger than your piece, you can go ahead and you can just trim them to the actual size of each pattern piece. I did this just because you'll save fabric so you don't have to create, a whole bunch of fabric and then have a whole bunch of waste. I just like doing this just because I feel like it saves the most amount of fabric this way. But whatever floats your boat, whatever you do to get to this point, to sewing the top together, that works. That really works for you. So the next step before we start sewing everything together is we got to finish the neckline and the bottom of the top and the edge of the sleeve. And what I'm doing for this is I'm just sewing it along my serger and just making a lettuce hem just because I think that's cute. I wanted like a raw, edge for my shirt, and this is what I'm doing. But you can finish it however you like. This way is just really easy because it's just simple. There's no ironing involved. There's nothing like that. It's just easy peasy, and I think it makes it look pretty cute with the lettuce edge hem, don't you? But on like a technical note, all you have to do is just pull the fabric when you're doing this, and then it should kind of wave the fabric. Some will wave more than others, so just kind of test out the fabric, see if you like the look. If not, you can just finish it a different way.
So it's looking good. I gotta admit, the top is looking good. This is the front of the top, and I'm so excited to sew it all together. I think it's gonna look so cute. You can see on certain fabric, the lettuce hem was a bit better, so you can see here, it is really, really nice. And then on this side, it didn't really, do the little lettuce edge thing, so that's okay. That's what I wanted. I wanted different textures and different fabrics, so that's why I chose these 3 shirts, but I am excited. If you can't tell, I'm excited to get this together. So now it's finally time to sew it all together. I'm gonna sew the 2 seams here at the top, the shoulders, and then I'm gonna be sewing the arms on, so these things, the sleeves, and then we're just gonna sew from here all the way down, and then the top is finished. So I haven't been pinning anything this whole time, so it's not like I'm gonna start now. I'm just gonna keep going for it and make sure the wrong sides are together so you have a nice, outer seam. Or you don't have to have it, you can have the right sides together. You don't wanna see the seam, but I'm just gonna continue with the wrong sides together so I can see the seam. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so now I have my shoulders sewn together like so. So we have the front and the back here. So now we're gonna attach the sleeves here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the top, and you can see this long open space here. This is where the sleeve is gonna go. So I'm just gonna go ahead, open the sleeve up, and clip it to it.
So for pinning the sleeve on, what you want to do is you want to pin the 2 edges first, and then you line up the center and clip that, pin that, whatever you're doing, and then you can kind of just line up the rest there and just feel it out, make sure everything's lined up. But that's how I clip them both. So I'm just clipping both. I keep saying clipping, but I guess it's pinning, or technically it's clipping because I'm using clips. But anyways, that's what I'm doing. Line up the edges, line up the middle, and then you can fill in the gaps in between with clips or pins. And then once that was pinned, I just went to my serger, sewed a straight seam, straight stitch, straight serger. I don't know what the technical term would be for a serger. I guess a serge stitch, maybe. I'm not really sure. Don't come at me, fashion students. Don't come at me. I'm just living my life and just doing what I want. And then next, we are gonna pin the sides of the shirt and the arms together so we can finish this top. This is the last step on this journey of making this patchwork top. And all I'm doing is sewing the bottom of the sleeves, or not really. I'm pinning the bottom of the sleeves and pinning the side of the shirt. It's pretty easy, even though I'm not really showing it very well here. I think you'd figure it out, where you pin there and you pin right here and then you sew it there. That is it. Watch me sew my last seams, and then we can see the final result of this beautiful, magnificent, thrifted patchwork top. That's a good name.
I'm finally done. My second patchwork top, so I'm gonna put it on now, and I'll show you what it looks like. And there we go. This is the final patchwork top. I am super happy with it. I think it looks really cute. It fits perfect. It's really comfy, and I'm gonna lounge around in it for the rest of the day. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video on how to make this patchwork top and the other patchwork top. I love them both. I'm happy to add 2 more tops to my wardrobe, especially because summer's coming up and all I have is long sleeve patchwork tops, so I'm happy to have 2 more. So that is it. Let me know down below which one you like the best, which style. They both are very, very different, so let me know which one you're gonna be trying out. And also tag me on Instagram at @JennaPhipps if you do make one, because I do want to see your guys' creations. But other than that, that is it for today's video. So I will see you guys in my next video, I guess. Okay, bye.